far we learned about the toString method, equals, hash code, and clone method. So let's learn about the finalize method today. Okay, finalize method. So what is the finalize method? So we were saying this is available in the object class, right? So let's go to the object class. How can I go to the object class? If I click on any, for example, the clone method. Clone method is part of what? Object. So it takes us to the object class. Now here, if you search for it, you will find the finalize method somewhere. Notify all. It is wait, wait, another wait. Mm, yeah, this is the finalize method. So what is the finalize method? So here finalize method is basically a protected method which returns nothing. The return type of the finalize method is void, right? So that is the first point that we can learn. This method is protected and returns void. Okay? So there is nothing difficult. So I just went to see the finalize method, how it looks like. I just added this point, right? Now what are the responsibilities of this method, right? So this method is this method will be called by the garbage collector. Garbage collector whenever object is being removed from the, come back and explain each and every point. All abandoned objects are eligible for garbage garbage collection, right? If any object doesn't have even a single reference, then that object is called as abandoned object. Abandoned, or if we are unable to reach any object in the stack, then is abandoned and objects are removing from the memory after calling finalize method. Calling finalize method. We can call finalize method. We call finalize method any number of times. While we are calling finalize method, while we are calling finalize method, objects are not removed from the memory. Removed only from the garbage collection. Garbage collection. Garbage collector can call analyze method at maximum once. Whenever object is becoming abandoned. Whenever an object is becoming abandoned, immediately the garbage collection will not come to sweep out the object or the object. It will come once in a while. It will come once in a while as a daemon thread. Daemon thread after the whole execution is got over. Okay. The whole execution is got over. At that time, calls the finalize method. All daemon threads or low priority threads. We can make a request to the garbage collector to sweep out the abandoned objects. Alright, let's go back and then let's read it out and try to understand. So finalize is a method that is available in the object class, which is a protected method and returns nothing. So that's the reason it is a void method, right? Now, this method will be called by the garbage collector when object is being removed from the memory. Okay. So far we had seen in any of the classes we were keep on creating a lot of objects, right? Like M1, M2, M3, like this you can create 1 million objects or 1 trillion objects or whatever it is, right? So that means whenever you create an object, this object occupies some memory in your system. Each and every object occupies some memory in your system. That's what we learned when we were starting about the object class itself, right? So that's where, so whenever any object occupies some space in the memory, that will have some hash code, that is the memory address of that particular object, right? So all those things we had seen, how the hash code and how the memory addresses will be different for the each object. So likewise, when we are keep on creating the objects, right, at certain point it will reach the maximum memory space, right? Because your system will have some limited memory, it's not unlimited, right? Your system will have maybe 256 GB or 512 GB or 1 TB, right? You will have a lot of other files also. Each and every file will occupy some memory. Similarly, whenever you create an object, right, that object also will occupy some memory. Okay, so if we are keep on creating the objects, and then it is the memories keep on growing. At certain point it will reach the end of the memory, right? So somewhere there has to be some mechanism, there has to be some mechanism to take care of the object's space, right? Let's say for example, just try to understand in a simple term, simple real time example, right? We have a house, right? So our house is what, maybe some 30-40 measurements, right? 30 feet width and 40 feet length house we have, right? So whenever you buy any object or anything for your house or any appliances, right, it will occupy some space in your house, right? Guys, all of you are following me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Cool. So whenever you buy anything, you bring anything to your house, it will occupy some space in your house, right? At certain point what will happen, your house will become full, you will not have any space to buy a new thing and put it in your house, right? So what you need to do, usually what we'll do, so whenever such things happens, what we'll do, we'll go to the house and then see if there are any unused things are there which are occupying space, right? If there are any scrappy things, unused things, right? Or the waste things, right? So we take all of them and then we throw it out. That's how we create the space, right? We will not go and buy a new house, right? We'll buy a new house, but that depends on the different requirement, right? But not just for the things, or for the objects you will not go and buy a new house, right? So what you do, you go and see, you search in the house, you see if there are any unused things are there in your house, you take them out and then throw it out, right? That's how you create the space. That is what exactly I am explaining here. The whole thing is, that is what the exact concept I'm trying to explain with all this, right? So when it comes to the technical world, it's all the objects, right? We create an object, it will occupy some memory, the memory will grow, at some point it will reach to the end of the maximum memory, right? So what it will do, there is something called garbage collection, just like in our house maintenance, right? Like say for example, either you or me, you are the owner of the house, right? Who has to do all this, searching for the unused things and then has to throw it out? It's either you, right, or the owner, right? So similarly, there is something called garbage collection. The responsibility of this garbage collector or collection, right? Garbage collector, the responsibility of the garbage collector is to identify the abandoned objects. Abandoned are nothing but the waste. That means, for whenever we had a need, we bought some thing in our house, we used it, and it has become old and we don't need it anymore. That means that is abandoned, right? We don't use it anymore, right? So we don't need to keep it in our house, otherwise it will just occupy some space and then we cannot buy a new thing. Exactly. Abandoned objects is also something like, we needed an object at certain point, later we completed the work with that and then we don't need it anymore, right? That means that is called as the abandoned object. Abandoned object, or if you are unable to reach the any object in the stack, so here stack is nothing but the memory, right? So if there is any object which is not required anymore, which doesn't have any value anymore, right? So that object is called as an abandoned object, right? So the garbage collection, what it will do is, garbage collection will identify all such abandoned objects once in a while, all such abandoned objects once in a while, and then sweep out. Somewhere I had clearly written the sweep out word also, exactly the word. Sweep is nothing but throwing it out, right? Where is that sweep, 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 sweep? Yeah, here. Whenever object is becoming abandoned, immediately the garbage collection will not come to the sweep out the object, right? There is some scenario here. We'll go one by one here, right? So far you are clear what is the abandoned object and what is the garbage collection? Any doubts? Abandoned object is nothing but the unused object, right? And then what is the garbage collection? It is a mechanism which takes care of cleaning of the abandoned objects. If you see the name itself, garbage, right? Garbage is what? It's a scrap, right? We are using the exactly the same words even in the technical world also, right? Garbage collection, that means the waste, right? Now, any doubt so far? Moving on. Now let's try to understand how it actually happens, right? Objects are removing from the memory after calling the finalize method, right? So all the objects will be removed from the memory when the finalize method will be called by the garbage collection or the garbage collector, right? So this is the internal part of our JDK. JDK is what? Java Development Kit, right? So without installing the JDK, we cannot write the programs in Java, we cannot compile the programs in Java, and then we cannot run the programs in Java, right? So garbage collector is part of our JDK, right? So what it does is all the objects will be removed from the memory when the garbage collector calls the finalize method, right? We don't have to call the finalize method. Please see the difference. We don't have to call the finalize method. Garbage collector itself will call the finalize method automatically. Okay, just now I said we don't have to call the finalize method. If you want to call the finalize method, you can call any number of times. You can call any number of times, but while we are calling the finalize method, objects will not be removed from the memory, removed from the garbage collection. That means you had already identified all the abandoned or the waste objects, you had already put it in the dustbin. Okay, in your house you had already put it in the dustbin, right? When the finalize, that means when the municipality guys comes, right? You can say garbage collector is nothing but the municipality guys here, right? When those guys comes, they will take your dustbin and then put it in their waste or the garbage truck. That's when the complete cleaning of the garbage happens. You are able to relate it with your with the daily life here, right? When you are cleaning your house, you just identify all the waste things and then you just put it in the dustbin, right? From the dustbin, who will take? You have to go to the municipality guys, you need to put it in the truck. That's when the waste is completely removed from your house, right? Similarly, when we call the finalize method, it doesn't mean that it will remove all the abandoned objects from the memory, right? When the garbage collector calls the finalize method, that's when objects will be removed from the, sorry, not the garbage collector, JDK calls the finalize method. That's when the objects will be removed from the garbage collection. That means this is the dustbin. Garbage collection is nothing but the dustbin which is already having all the unused or abandoned objects. Okay, now garbage collector can call the finalize method at maximum once, right? Just like I don't think municipality guys comes every half an hour or every 1 hour to your house, right? They'll come hardly once in a day, right? If you want to relate it with it, right? So garbage collector throughout the life cycle of the application or throughout the life cycle of the program, right? That means whenever we run this program, it runs, this program will be run for 10 seconds, right? That is the 10 seconds is the life cycle of the program. During this 10 seconds, the garbage collector calls the finalize method only once. During this 10 seconds when executing the class, right, the program, during this 10 seconds, the garbage collector calls the finalize method at maximum once. That means garbage collector calls the finalize method at once per life cycle of a application, life cycle of a application or life cycle of a program, right? So I think the next thing also, I think I had already explained. When the object is becoming abandoned, immediately garbage collection will not come to sweep out the object. That means when you identify any unused or the waste in your house, municipality guys will not directly or straight away come to your house to sweep it out, right? They have their own timings, probably either in the morning or evening or somewhere in the afternoon. They have their own schedule, right? They will not come just that, since you had identified some waste in your house. Exactly the same point here. When the object is becoming abandoned, immediately the garbage collection will not come to sweep out the object. It will come once in a while as a daemon thread. Daemon means what? Unknown. In simple English, we have something to learn about this, exactly this daemon thread later, not at this moment, right? But here daemon is nothing but unknown after the whole execution is got over, right? It will come once in a while as a daemon thread after the whole execution is got over, right? That means municipality guys, you don't know those municipality guys, right? Every day some of the different persons will come or same person might come. That is very rare case, right? All of them are unknown to you, right? Exactly the same way the garbage collection will come as a demand thread once after the whole execution. That means the whole sweeping or the whole cleaning of your house is completed. At that time it will just come and calls the finalize method. So once you clean your house and put it in the dustbin, it will come and take the dustbin and go out. All demand threads are low priority threads. We can make a request to the garbage collection to sweep out the abandoned objects. See again the very real time thing, right? The municipality guys are always low priority, right? They don't care. You have to take the help from them whenever they come, right? If you want their help, you can just request them, but you cannot put a mandatory saying that you have to come. If they talk to you in that way, what they will say, I will not come, do your work. That's how they respond, right? Similarly, exactly here also, garbage collector also behaves exactly in the same way. You can just make a request to come and clean out the all the abandoned or unused objects, but it will come in its own time whenever it feels that okay, I should go now, right? So there is no control when that garbage collector comes and cleans it out. There is no control. So that has its own schedule to come and clean it out. Any doubts, guys? It's all the municipality cleaning of this concept. There is nothing. Very simple concept, but very important. I'm not sure. I think we had learned about the out of memory error, right? We could not practice any program out of memory error because we don't have control, right? So when the out of memory error happens, when the objects are keep on growing and the garbage collection did not clean any unused or abandoned objects, then the memory will be full and then it will give the out of memory error. So this is relevant. The out of memory is relevant to this. Clear? Now I had just written we can make a request to the garbage collection to sweep out the abandoned objects. Otherwise, garbage collector itself will make that request. If we want to make the request, we also can make, but it is not but it is not guaranteed that it will come and do the job for you. It is not guaranteed. You can just make a request. It may come or may not come. That is not guaranteed. But how to make that request? There are two ways. There are two ways to make a request to the garbage collector. One is by calling system.gc, right? And other one is runtime.getRuntime.gc. GC is nothing but garbage collection, right? So we had seen very common thing, right? System.out.println. To print anything, we use s out, right? System.out.println. It actually is a thing that comes from the system.out.println. Similarly, if you want to call the garbage collection, you can call system.gc. See, you have a method here available. You have a method available in Java. I had not written this method. See, if you click on gc, it took to which class? It took to the system class, right? So what is the signature of this method? It is a public method, it is a static method, and then it returns nothing. It is a void, right? That is the reason, if you notice here, we are calling directly from the class. Why we are directly calling from the class, not from the object? Because gc is a static method. Gc is a static method. We don't have to create the object to call the static methods, right? Inside the gc method, what is the code? It is calling runtime.getRuntime.gc. That means we are just creating a wrapper around this logic, right? You can directly call system.gc, so that will internally call the runtime.getRuntime.gc, or other way is runtime.getRuntime.gc. You can also write the same code here, runtime.getRuntime. This is another method available in the runtime class dot gc. You click on the gc now, it will take to the runtime class, which has a gc method. And what is the signature of the gc method? It's a public method and void method, which returns nothing, and native, we'll learn about it later, right? Any doubt so far, guys? Any doubts? These two above two are the requests, not the commands. Commands means has to follow our instructions. There is a difference between command and request. Command means what? You have to do it. There is no other way. But this is a request. You cannot make a command for this, right? Request means may or may not happen. Here, in most cases, garbage collector removes the abandoned objects. Again, what are we saying? It is just a request, but it is not guaranteed that it will come and clean it up. But what we are saying is, in most cases, garbage collector removes the abandoned object. So whenever you make a request to the municipality guys, in majority of the cases they will come, they will understand your request, they will come and they will do the job for you. But in very rare cases where you don't talk to them nicely, or you don't give them some extra tip, right? Or you have lot of thing, or sometimes they have some resource unavailability. That means they don't have the people to come to your house and then clean it, right? Those are some special scenarios where the municipality guys doesn't come and take a action immediately. Otherwise, they'll come and do it. Here also same thing. But request, you can just make a request. If they come 90%, 10% they may or may not come. Here also the same thing. In most cases, this will come and do the job for you, but not 100%. Right? One simple definition. Command means what? Command means it should happen, right? It's a mandate. It should happen. Simple English. We can't guarantee anything with respect to the garbage collector. Garbage collector. Okay. We had already seen the finalized method is available in object class and returns and available in object class. It's all about the finalize method. We'll write a simple program how to make a object as an abandoned or all of such things. LM class N. So we can override that finalize method, right? So I'll override the finalize method. Protected void finalize. Sort of just finalize. Okay. Main method PSVM n1 equal to new n. This is how we create the object. Now n1 is I am assigning to null. So this is the abandoned object. Here we are creating the object, right? And then if you are making it to null, that means this is the abandoned object. This is how you make an object as a abandoned object. Abandoned object. Abandoned object. If you run this program, see, abandoned. Now let's try to call the system.gc method. Let's see whether the finalize method is called or not. This time it has called the finalize method successfully. Right? Clear, guys? Any doubt? Whole this concept is nothing but cleaning up the garbage in your application, right? And after this, there is one important question here. Difference between, we learnt about the final, right? When we were learning about the inheritance, yes or no? And then another more relevant word, what did we learn? Finally and finalize. This is the most important question. Difference between final, finally and finalize. This final is a keyword which comes as part of the inheritance. Finally is a keyword which comes as part of the exception handling, and finalize is a method which comes as part of the garbage collection, right? So this is the most important question. You go and look in the Google, right? You will get all the points, right? All these points with respect to the final keyword we learned when we are learning about the inheritance. Similarly, finally, about the finally keyword we learned when we were learning about the exception handling, and all the points about the finalize here we learned by learning the finalize method. So you need to explain all these points when you get this question in the interview. Most important question, guys. All these three words are look wise, it looks same, right? Close relevant words, right, which gives a similar meaning, but actually in terms of the behavior, each word has a relevance with a different concept. So if you can explain all these 4 points when you get this question, right, you will be good. You just go through all these points. All these points we had covered when learning the inheritance and in exception handling. There is nothing new. So it's your responsibility to prepare the notes for this question. Clear? I'll stop here. I'll start the new topic tomorrow again. The finalize is done. Get class method will start tomorrow. If there are any questions so far or in our today's session, right, you can ask me now. No questions, guys?